Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News Bulletin 8, read to you by myself, Natili Sitole, alongside Zamanzi Manzi. First up, here's a look at our headlining stories. His Majesty King Mswati III has acknowledged Lago for a great job they have done when harvesting royal fields despite the COVID-19 restrictions. The Deputy Prime Minister Masugu says only 53.5% of children under 5 years are registered, while the remaining 46.5% are without birth certificates. The Acting Minister of Public Works and Transport has launched the Construction Industry Council's 3-year strategic plan. And now the news in detail. His Majesty King Mswati III has acknowledged Lago for a great job they have done when harvesting royal fields despite the COVID-19 restrictions. This was revealed by the leader of the regiment, Makakula, when dispersing the warriors at Engabezweni royal residence.
Lago started by singing and dancing umgubo, led by Dinvuna. This marked the end of harvesting wheat in royal fields, following the announcement by Dinvuna that only regiments staying in royal enclosures will take part in the harvesting duty this year. When the time for harvesting royal fields comes, an announcement commanding Lago to come harvest is made, which is when thousands of regiments from all the 4 regions of the country gather at the royal residence. However, it was a different case this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On normal basis, when the regiment is done weeding, they are usually dispersed by His Majesty King Mswati III in person. But then the regiment was dispersed by His Majesty through Dinvuna this year. Giving out a directive from His Majesty, Indvuna Makakula said His Majesty King Mswati III has thanked Lago for the respect and the job well done.
Nakoke lo mfutho longaka ukhomba inhlonipho lelifakako lenayo nemandla ahamba nenhlonipho wende umsebenzi ube ngiwo ungomeke majaha. Nakoke majaha ondaba lokulenkwendile la uhlonipha umthetho wetempilo, uyakholelwa kokuthi nomsuka la nemakhaya live lonke nitawufundisa senibotishela njengoba linje. Majaha okondaba namuhla libutho uyaliqitha. Ondaba majaha uyakholelwa nakokuthi noma nisuka namhlanje niya emakhaya live linothile kuphela nje libazayiswa iCovid, nani kuyawugcwala titsha, kepha ligcine umthetho welitiko letempilo litawuphila live majaha.
On the news, I am Polile Mazia with Tapiso Dlamini at Engabezweni Royal Residence.
The Deputy Prime Minister Masugu says only 53.5% of children under 5 years are registered, while the remaining 46.5% are without birth certificates. Masugu says this affects government in her planning and it is considered as a violation of children's rights. The Deputy Prime Minister was represented by the Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, at the launch of the 2021 Children's Month.
The month of June is International Children's Month, a time to reflect on how domestic violence affects children in the various communities every day. The country is commemorating Children's Month under the theme, Eswatini Fit for Every Child, Known and Protected. The Deputy Prime Minister, who was represented by the Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, says only 53.5% of children under the age of 5 years are registered, while the remaining 46.5% still does not have birth certificates.
In an attempt to improve this situation and further fulfill the best interests of the child, the Deputy Prime Minister's Office, Ministry of Tingundla Development and Administration, the Ministry of Home Affairs are engaging in a mop-up campaign that will also ensure registration of children.
Director Eswatini Nhlanhla Dlamini says children experience violence at the hands of the people they know and trust.
Children between the ages of 0 to 18 years, they account to 73% of sexual violence cases.
Andile Dlamini from the Civil Registration presented on the 2019 status of birth registration in Eswatini.
In 2019, 11,771 were registered by the Ministry of Home Affairs. These are the current, the ones that happen within 60 days.
High school learner Sizole Tumasimula spoke on children's rights and Agenda 2040. He pleaded with government to take the issue of child registration as a serious matter.
I am the African child. I have an alienable right to proper education. I have an alienable right to identity. I have an alienable right to citizenship. I deserve to be registered as a citizen. I deserve proper education. I deserve to be heard. My voice matters. I exist. I matter. Register me now.
UNICEF representative Afshin Parsi says stakeholders need to work together to address the root causes of violence against children. Reporting, I'm Lungile Makakula with Mbongwa Dube, Zulwini.
The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, says the youth is willing and ready to work and create better lives for itself and those around it. Bulunga says this is evidenced by that some young entrepreneurs have already fully settled their Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund loans. Bulunga said this during an event held at Sibane Hotel on Tuesday.
The acknowledgement event, which was held at the Sibane Hotel, was an appreciation of 7 entrepreneurs who have settled their Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund loans in full. Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, says this is the first group to fully repay its loans and deserves to be celebrated.
In total, these 7 youth-owned businesses received over 200,000 malangeni, all of which has been returned, further ensuring that the fund, as per its name, revolves to help other aspiring young people, just like the 28 recipients were announced 2 weeks back. I should therefore congratulate all of you as young entrepreneurs for managing to achieve such a difficult yet crucial milestone. What you have done will not only set the tone for your peers, but it will also ensure that confidence in youth-owned businesses grows.
Youth Fund Board Chairman, Representative Sihle Nene, explains how the fund has performed since its revival.
Ndvuna lehloniphekile ifund ke kusukela nga-2017 solo iqale kuvusetelwa seyi-create seyifunde ema-beneficiaries lang-187 ngemali enganga-10.2 million.
Speaking on behalf of beneficiaries, Sikondile Ngwenya thanked the assistance they have received from the fund and pleaded for improvements in certain aspects.
Sikhathi lesiba khona between ku-applya kwethu nekutfola timali siba sidze kakhulu. Kani uyukhanze kusemabhizinisi nje sekaqalile ayasebesebenta.
For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Nomalungelo Chele, Zulwini.
The Acting Minister of Public Works and Transport, Mangoba Khumalo, has launched the Construction Industry Council 3-year strategic plan. The minister says the strategy will not only address challenges but also improve service delivery for a more effective industry.
The construction sector has experienced uneven growth in the past 5 years since the council commenced its operations in 2014. This period coincided with the country experiencing an economic crisis which affected the implementation of public infrastructure program. The council and industry stakeholders have not been spared from these developments. The minister says he is hopeful that despite the prevailing uncertainty, especially with the highly anticipated threat of COVID-19 third wave, the economy and construction sector will be able to recover in the near future.
We believe that the development and implementation of a new strategic plan 2021 to 2024 will assist the CIC to not only address challenges but also improve service delivery for a more effective industry. Without a doubt, the strategy incorporates suggestions and issues raised by stakeholders gathered during the strategy development phase. Hence, the Council will embark on this in the next 3 years, and it is based on the needs and expectations of the industry.
CIC CEO Nhlanhla Dlamini says they focused on 4 areas they need to work on.
We've just identified 4 focus areas that we want to work on. The first one is the issue of operational efficiency as a council. The second one is to improve our stakeholder relations, because we can see that a lot number of our stakeholders still don't understand, our mandate. And the third one is also to look into issues, how can we make sure that we improve on issues of capacity building, issues of training within the industry. And the last one is the issue of improving on regulation and also improving on issues of implementing best standards and also, what can be done to ensure that we improve in terms of efficiency, delivering projects on time. So that's the focus area that we want to do in the next 3 years as the construction industry regulator within the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Reporting, I'm Lungilile Makakula with Mbonga Dube in Babane.
The Public Accounts Committee says the Public Enterprise Unit under the Ministry of Finance should monitor parastatals operations as there is an alleged abuse of funds. Ministry of Finance Director Public Enterprise Unit Busangani Mkhalipi says currently parastatals Board of Directors were trusted to monitor operations.
When the Minister of Finance appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, PAC complained bitterly that government parastatals are not governed. PAC members complained that chief executive officers of these institutions are given gratuity way before their contracts expire. The committee also mentions that some parastatal CEO are colluding with board of directors by giving them loans, among other things.
The 20 positions the national board. Last week, the board, you are the CEO had the contract. The CEO wapatalela board chair security personal. So unale exchange there. We need to come close.
What I'm saying here is that the PU are allowing them to run their own businesses, which is not bad. But at the one hand is we're seeing that they're abusing that privilege of how to run the parastatal.
We cannot have a parastatal Lefojima accounts for 3 years. Inga detect PEU. So that is a very exemplary corner in the whole setup.
Minister of Finance Director Public Enterprise Unit Busangani Mkhalipi says the unit can only pick irregularities after audits have been conducted. She says this is because they have entrusted board of directors to ensure smooth operations.
And in our case, we only happen to know when an audit report, but on a quarter-to-quarter basis, we wouldn't know the executive, how do they manage the issue of the gratuity. So it's the board. However, we appreciate, share the concerns. And during e-corporate governance training, Yalama Board of Directors, SPEU will take it upon ourselves when we make our presentations, engage our board on the issues, ababe vigilant on.
On another issue, PAC gave the Public Enterprise Unit 7 days to ensure that government parastatals, including Public Service Pension Fund, remit the levy. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta Parliament.
The 3 police officers who were seen in a viral video on social media platforms insulting a suspect have been suspended. This is contained in a press statement that was issued by the Office of the Police Information and Communications on behalf of the National Commissioner of Police.
The police force, which has a mandate to protect and to serve, had its name dragged in the mud last month after a video of 3 of its officers verbally assaulting a suspect went viral. The force was quick to state that it did not condone such behavior and an investigation would be done or conducted on the matter. True to their word, this investigation has been conducted and action has been taken, as was the public appeal. Chief Police Information and Communications Officer Superintendent Pindile Vilagati explains what action has been taken.
lamanye malunga alombutho wethu akubonakala angaphathi kahle bantu thide noma umuntu thide magama langasikahle wagcina sekugcwala kubo social media ke lokho luphenyo ke selichubekile lwafika kulesigaba la khona iorganization labantu ababili sebamikile emsebenzini njengalokho sekutawulungiseka ukuthi seliphele inyaka liphenyo indlela yini abapanisheka ngayo.
Vilagati was asked about how long the suspension would be.
Noma ke singeke sifike betingcikithile edo ngoba yonke suspension ine ma conditions akhona lokho kutawuvela ke le documents befanele uveta kahle ukuthi ama conditions ayo athini sikwanyalo nje ngesinqumo lesisithethe sevele kulomsebenzi wekwenda lokho njenge organization.
Vilagati has assured the nation that the force is committed to ensuring that police officers conduct themselves and discharge their duties in line with their oath of office. She also says individuals found going against the ethics and regulations of the organization will be dealt with accordingly. For Eswatini TV News, Temgozi Mavimbela, Mbabane.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission has officially announced the polling stations for the upcoming by-elections in various chiefdoms and constituencies to be held this coming weekend. This is contained in a statement that was issued by the chairperson of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, Prince Mhlaplangeni Dlamini.
In the Hoho region, the primary elections for Bukopo will be held at Mponjeni Umphakathi at Mponjeni High School. In the Manzini region, at Lamkapi Nkundla, the by-election process for Member of Parliament will be held at Drusini at Utozeni Primary. Under Lamkapi Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Nyanza High School. At Galuhlego Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Galuhlego Community School. At Mhlangeni Umphakathi, the by-elections will be held at Mhlangeni Primary School. At Enhlulweni Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Othandweni Primary School. In the Shiselweni region, at Gumetula constituency under Lomfa Umphakathi, the elections for Bukopo will be held at Velebanfo High School. At Matsanjeni South Nkundla, Gabambiche Umphakathi, the elections for constituency headmen will be held at Bambiche Primary. At Dinabanye Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Pumelela Primary School. At Gwaluseni Umphakathi, it will be held at Oslo High School. Ngonga Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Matsanjeni Primary School. At Ngonga Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Matsanjeni Primary School. At Nsalije Umphakathi, the by-elections for constituency headmen will be held at number 2 Primary School. At Komindaba Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Osabeni Primary School as well as Komindaba Primary School. Shiselweni 1 Nkundla, the by-elections for Member of Parliament will be held at Dumenkungwini Umphakathi, Welcome Primary School. At Posini Umphakathi, the elections will be held at St. Juliana Primary School. At Huhuma Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Evangelical Church. At Mabona Bulawe Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Masipula Primary School. At Manyanzen Umphakathi, the elections will be held at Mandambe High School. Under Zikoten Umphakathi, the elections will be held at St. Anselm Primary School. The voting process will begin at 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. and will be followed by the counting of the votes. Members of the public under these chiefdoms are encouraged to come in their numbers and come with their identity cards. The general public is urged to adhere to the COVID-19 regulations, including the washing of hands with the running water and soap, or use hand sanitizers and wear their face mask properly. The statement has been issued by the chairperson of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, Prince Mhlaplangene Dlamini. For Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini, Babane.
Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority is failing to regulate Eswatini Electricity Company, especially on the issue of the connection fee. The Public Accounts Committee made this observation when the Ministry of Finance made an appearance before it.
The Public Accounts Committee criticizes Eswatini Regulatory Authority for failing to regulate Eswatini Electricity Company, especially on the connection fee. PAC says EEC charges not less than 6,700 Malangeni as connection fee. The committee says seemingly the fee is fixed regardless whether one is a client or not.
Lona njengoba ansho director PEU, Sarah has failed kwelusa kahle EEC. I'll make an example. EEC now connected enye indlu labalelila for a cable less than 1,000 rand. Who take quotation less than 6,700 like me. Now connected nje lenye indlu khona la khaya angadzingi lipali angadzingi ini, the minimum is 6,700. Iyaphi le mali? Yinto lasuka ibhadalele le menta charge 6,700. Ngila kuvela lama profits lapha engizafuna ukuwafihla khona. Because phela angibhadalele lokhu worthless service. If ngitawudzinga equipment ya 600 Malangeni noma ya 2,000, angicharge lo 2,000. Nalawo ma cost ma logistics ngikutokhanyisa lo 300 400. But wakubeka nje kwaba standard kuthi new connection less than 6,700. Singaphuma namhla sonke apply la kude lotawubuya na less than 6,700. Now say justify, no justification.
Mine ngafaka line akela SEC Bank Hotel. They quoted me 33,000. I went and got a private contractor, cost me 11,000. So I'm just saying, we want profit here. We don't want book profit. Book profit means nothing. It's fiddling of paper or fiddling of figures. We want actual profit that you are making, and I believe 636% is actual money profit.
Minister of Finance Public Enterprise Unit Director Busangani Mkhalipi says the unit will meet with Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority to discuss the issues surrounding EEC regulation. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta Parliament.
Two machines used to print out driver's licenses have developed mechanical faults, and currently there is one machine which is functioning. Ministry of Finance Principal Accountant Dudu Kumalo says this has resulted in a poor printing out of licenses, and some Mswati believe that the issuance of licenses has been suspended.
What transpired is that the country have only 3 gadgets used to print out driver's licenses, and 2 of them are not functioning. What makes it hard to fix the machines is that it can only be serviced in Germany as per government's contract.
Sinenkinga yama scanners app sinathu njenyalo lamele kuyo servicewa and aservicewa khashana so long gcina angahambi stomen nasimbuta basitshela ukuthi lolo service lakho uthi ufuna ukuthi courier uyathathela thambisele abesolo angawathathi. So sinamunye cishe sinamunye sinayinye nje I-scan lesikhona lesisebenzayo. so kwenda lokuthi vele lama license ahambe kancane.
Public Accounts Committee members urges the Ministry of Finance to decentralize services like driver's license application and issuing to constituencies.
Now to charge license lapha noma uchinja license yakho noma ulahlele license utawukwanza le sine sithola ingula kwenda khona le service ibelula yena because the service ekhona la license idolile ngiko abantu bathola la mahlathini nje ngoba lelinye indawo idolile isihlalo noma le maritime kuvuliwe kunebantu sihlalo bavuliwe position lasetulu bayahola imali but emandla solo silato apho nyombaba udumule ukudleni yalo akade siyona nofuna license kunembaba nofuna birth certificate embaba nofuna ID uyembaba. Can you then decentralize the services because the queues nembaba they are very disheartening to the people.
Lana kunele frustration the service delivery. That is the main issue. So there's a finance lona linga leti mali lele ba mele ba deliver service bo home affairs tinkundla bona bafike bakhiphe excuse ukuthi nekude budget so bakhala ukuthi finance akasiniki budget ngule prioritization yale budget.
In a different issue, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Sizakele Dlamini, informed the Public Account Committee that Samgelo Mbing, who has been acting Accountant General, has been confirmed in the position. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta Parliament.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Former Sihlangu goalkeeper William Shongwe says whoever will be the next Football Association president should be someone with a proper vision on where to take Eswatini football. Shongwe says more focus should be directed to the development of football from regional level.
With the Football Association set to hold their elections later this month, many football stakeholders have shared their views on what the incoming president should do to improve the standard of the game in the country. Former Sihlangu goalkeeper and now SuperSport TV analyst William Shongwe says whoever is going to take the presidential position should be someone who has got a proper vision and knows Eswatini football in and out.
If anybody were to take over this position, it's got to be somebody that needs or that has a vision. It's got to be somebody that has knowledge about the football in the country, where it has been and where it's going. It's important to take stock what has been done and why has there been a lack of success, and then thereafter put up a plan and a vision to say, okay, as a president, this is where I want to take the country.
And former Kaizer Chiefs and Sihlangu striker Spusiso Dlamini says if the incoming president can bring back the junior leagues, it can help develop players and also put more energy to women football, as it is also equally important.
President lotawungena sitawubuka in the future ukuthi sithinga ukuthi ibhola lethu improve ngatiphi indlela ikakhulu nje ngikubuka ema programs la ngawakha for development tournaments and structures ukuthi because in both ladies and women and men ukuthi ngeke ukuthi kube khona lekulo sekutholako kibo bobabili sibone ukuthi khona ile FA lo president la tasita ngako kuma programs la tawukhona ukuthi si basakhe badlali labangcono for ikusasa.
Shongwe concluded by adding that the nation deserves to at least see Sihlangu Semnikati reaching the COSAFA finals, and the bigger dream should be qualifying for AFCON. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi with Linda Dlamini. Babane.
Well, Eswatini, that's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a relook at our top stories. His Majesty King Mswati III has acknowledged Lago for a great job they have done when harvesting rural fields despite the COVID-19 restrictions. The Deputy Prime Minister Masugu says only 53.5% of children under 5 years are registered, while the remaining 46.5% are without birth certificates. The Acting Minister of Public Works and Transport has launched the Construction Industry Council's 3-year strategic plan. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.